The grand halls of Vithara Prime's royal palace shimmered like crystal caught in sunlight. The alien world was famous for its beauty. Towers of living glass, floating gardens, and great silver bridges that curved through the pink sky. Every step inside the palace echoed softly, as if the stones themselves respected the silence of royalty. Among the many guests that day stood Ethan Cole, a young human diplomat's assistant from Earth. He was not a soldier, nor a noble, just a man trying his best to understand this strange galaxy. He had come with the Earth delegation to strengthen peace with the Vetherans, a proud and ancient alien race. The Vetherans were tall and elegant, their skin faintly shining like moonlight and their eyes bright as stars. They were known for their cold discipline and their sharp pride. To them, humans were emotional, reckless creatures, interesting perhaps, but far below the standards of royal grace. Ethan could feel the difference immediately. Every alien in the room stood perfectly still, hands behind their backs, speaking in calm, measured tones. Meanwhile, he was sweating, fidgeting, and trying not to trip over his own boots. The air shimmered as a royal announcer's voice filled the hall. Her High Radiance, Princess Sailara Veth, daughter of the High Queen, keeper of the crown flame, enters the hall. Everyone bowed deeply. Ethan tried to copy them but bent too far and almost lost his balance. A few alien nobles nearby gave quiet, polite laughs. He turned red with embarrassment. Then the princess appeared. Princess Sailara was young, only 23 by her world's cycles, though older in Earth years. Her long white hair glowed faintly under the lights, and her golden eyes looked sharp and distant. She wore armor-like robes of silver and blue, each line designed with perfect symmetry. She looked more like a living statue than a person. Ethan stared, unable to look away. There was no one on Earth like her. Every movement she made seemed perfectly measured, every glance filled with quiet power. The human ambassador beside Ethan whispered, "Remember, never speak unless spoken to. Compliments are forbidden. The royal family values respect, not emotion." Ethan nodded quickly, his palms damp with sweat. The princess began to move along the line of guests, greeting each one with calm dignity. When she reached the humans, her expression did not change. Her golden eyes scanned them as if judging their worth. Then she stopped in front of Ethan. Her voice was soft, almost musical. "And you are?" Ethan swallowed hard. Ethan Cole, Your Highness." Assistant to the ambassador. She studied him for a moment. "You are young to be sent so far from home." "Yes, Your Highness," he said quickly, "but it's an honor to serve." Her gaze drifted up and down, calm but cold. Ethan could feel the weight of it, like she was seeing every thought in his mind. His heart pounded. The silence stretched longer than he could handle, and then without meaning to, he blurted out, "You're beautiful." The hall went silent. Every noble froze. The ambassador looked like he was about to faint. Complimenting a royal in public was seen as a shocking breach of Vitharan etiquette. It was too personal, too emotional, almost an insult. Princess Sailara blinked once. Her face remained calm, but her golden eyes widened ever so slightly. No one spoke. The silence felt like a mountain pressing down on Ethan's chest. He wished he could disappear. He wanted to take the words back, to hide under the marble floor, but it was too late. Then something unexpected happened. The princess's lips curved, not into anger, but into the faintest smile. It was small, fragile, as if she had forgotten how. "You are a strange creature, human," she said softly. "Most tremble in my presence, yet you speak with such boldness." "I'm sorry, Your Highness," Ethan stammered. "I didn't mean—" "I heard what you meant," she interrupted gently. "And I am not offended." The hall erupted into whispers. The princess moved on as if nothing had happened, leaving Ethan standing there with his heart hammering in his chest. The ambassador looked at him in disbelief. "What have you done?" he whispered sharply. "That could have started an incident." Ethan had no answer. He just stood there, staring at the empty space where the princess had been, wondering why she had smiled. That night, the palace lights dimmed into a soft violet hue. The human delegation was given quarters in the guest wing, luxurious rooms of floating silk and glowing stones. Ethan couldn't sleep. His mind replayed the moment again and again. He had called an alien princess beautiful. What had he been thinking? She probably thought humans were fools. A soft chime broke his thoughts. His door slid open and a tall alien guard stepped inside dressed in silver armor. "Ethan Cole," the guard said formally. "Her high radiance requests your presence." Ethan blinked. "At this hour?" "Now," the guard replied. Ethan followed, nervous and confused. The corridors glowed faintly blue, silent except for the sound of their footsteps. They entered a great balcony overlooking the city, where the pink sky shimmered with distant storms. Princess Solara stood there alone. "Leave us," she told the guard, who bowed and departed. Ethan hesitated. "Your Highness, you wanted to see me?" "Yes," she said softly, turning to face him. "No one in my court has ever spoken to me like you did. Tell me, human, why did you say those words?" Ethan swallowed. "Because it was true." Her golden eyes studied him, searching his face for deception. "You did not fear insult? Or punishment?" He shook his head. "Where I come from, Your Highness, telling someone they're beautiful isn't an insult. It's honesty. And sometimes, honesty is worth the risk." For a long moment she said nothing. Then unexpectedly she laughed, quietly at first, then more clearly. It was not cruel or mocking, but light and almost musical. Ethan was stunned. The sound of her laughter echoed softly against the marble walls. "I cannot remember the last time I laughed," she said quietly. "My people have forgotten what it means to speak with feeling. You humans, you remind me of something old." She stepped closer, her expression calm but thoughtful. "Your words were reckless, Ethan Cole, but perhaps they were necessary." He bowed quickly. "I'm sorry if I caused trouble, Your Highness." "You did," she said simply. "But it was interesting trouble." Her golden eyes glowed faintly under the starlight. "I have decided something. You will remain here in my service, as a personal human liaison. You will learn our ways and advise my royal guard about human customs." Ethan blinked. "Advise your guard? I'm not a soldier." "Good," she said. "Then you will see what they cannot. Fresh eyes are valuable." He hesitated. "Your Highness, I don't think I'm qualified." "Do you always argue with royalty?" she asked, one eyebrow raised. Ethan quickly bowed his head. "No, Your Highness." "Then it is settled." She turned away, her voice calm again. "Your quarters will be moved to the upper wing by morning. Report to my captain at sunrise." Ethan stood frozen, unsure if this was a dream. "Your Highness, why me?" Princess Solara looked back at him, her expression unreadable. "Because, human, you spoke truth to me when everyone else speaks only fear. I want to see what kind of creature does that." She walked away, her silver robes flowing behind her like liquid light. Ethan remained alone on the balcony, staring at the distant city lights. The alien night was quiet and cold, but something deep inside him stirred, a strange mix of fear and wonder. He whispered to himself, "What have I gotten into?" By morning, the royal court buzzed with rumors. Some said the princess had gone mad. Others said she was experimenting with human behavior. But one thing was clear. The princess had chosen Ethan for a special position, and no one dared question her command. As the alien sun rose over Vithera Prime, Ethan stood in his new quarters, wearing a uniform made for him overnight, a mix of human design and alien fabric. It felt strange but oddly right. He looked out over the glowing city, thinking of the princess's golden eyes and her rare, quiet laugh. He had only said 3 words, "You're beautiful," and somehow, those words had changed his life forever. The morning sun rose over Vithera Prime, casting soft pink light across the floating gardens of the royal palace. Ethan Cole woke in his new quarters, still amazed at how much his life had changed overnight. He had gone to bed as a nervous human assistant and now woke as the personal human liaison to Princess Solara, a position that seemed simple until he discovered its true meaning. He dressed carefully, in the new uniform prepared for him. The fabric shimmered faintly, shaped for a human body but patterned after veteran guard armor. It felt heavy in an unfamiliar way. Ethan checked himself in the reflective panels of the walls, straightened his shoulders, and tried to appear confident. He had no idea that his first task would come sooner than expected. The silver-haired captain approached him in the main hall, his steps precise and commanding. "Ethan Cole," the captain said, voice calm but firm. "Her High Radiance has assigned you to command a section of the Royal Guard. Report immediately to the armory." Ethan blinked. "Command me? But I don't even know their routines." The captain's golden eyes narrowed. "That is not our concern. Your orders come directly from the princess. Learn quickly or you will fail. Before Ethan could protest, the captain turned and walked away, leaving him standing alone in the echoing hall. Ethan exhaled. This was worse than he had imagined. He had been told he would liaise with the guard. He had not expected to lead them, and the Vetheran guards, tall, disciplined, and fiercely loyal to the princess, were not accustomed to human command. When he arrived at the armory, a group of 30 Vetheran guards stood waiting. They were perfectly aligned, armor polished, weapons in hand, eyes sharp. Every movement they made was precise, almost mechanical. Ethan swallowed and tried to address them. I'm Ethan, he began. I'll be your... Commander? A ripple of murmurs passed through the guards. One of them, a tall alien with piercing silver eyes, stepped forward. You, a human? Command us? You joke? Ethan's face flushed. No, I'm not joking. The princess appointed me. I'll do my best, another guard scoffed. You are soft-skinned. You do not know our ways. How can a human teach us or lead us? Ethan paused, looking at each soldier. Their pride was strong, their doubt obvious. He could see it in their eyes. Humans were strange, emotional creatures unfit for discipline. Most of them wanted nothing to do with him. But then he remembered the princess's golden eyes, the rare smile, and the quiet laugh she had given him the night before. She had chosen him for a reason. If he gave up now, he would disappoint her, and that was something he could not allow. Then let's start with what I know, he said firmly. You have routines, drills, and strategies I don't fully understand yet. But I have something you don't expect, human creativity. I want to observe, ask questions, and maybe improve what you already do well. Work with me and we will strengthen the guard together. The silence stretched. No one laughed this time, though skepticism remained. Slowly, the captain stepped forward. You have courage, he said quietly. Perhaps you are not entirely foolish. Over the next several days, Ethan began to learn the Vetheran ways. The guards were efficient and precise, moving through drills without hesitation. Ethan studied them carefully. He observed their movements, memorized their formations, and asked endless questions about their tactics. At first, the guards remained cold. They ignored his suggestions and occasionally muttered criticisms when he was not looking. One even threw a training weapon slightly off target just to test his reaction. Ethan laughed softly and caught it in midair. Nice try, he said. But you're going to have to do better than that. Some guards blinked in surprise. He wasn't supposed to succeed. Humans were clumsy, unpredictable, and weak. But Ethan had reflexes, not the speed of the best Vetheran soldiers, but enough to adapt, to use instinct, to improvise in ways that aliens rarely considered. Then came the real test. A minor explosion occurred in the training courtyard, a misfired energy device meant for practice. One of the young guards was trapped under a falling support beam. Without thinking, Ethan rushed forward, lifting the beam enough for the guard to escape. The guard's eyes widened. Human, you saved me. The captain approached, nodding quietly. Perhaps your instincts are useful after all. Princess Saylara, who had been observing from a balcony, stepped down as Ethan returned the young guard to his feet.
Ethan, she said softly, you are learning faster than I imagined.
Continue like this and the guards will respect you fully. Ethan bowed quickly. I will do my best, Your Highness. A week later, Ethan faced a larger challenge. The palace had received intelligence of a possible rebellion in the city. A small group of discontented nobles planning to disrupt the royal court. It was minor, but enough to test Ethan's command. The guards were tense, murmuring quietly about their human commander. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. If he failed, the princess could be in danger and he could ruin her trust in him. He spent hours with maps and holograms, designing patrols and defense strategies. He combined human improvisation with Vetheran discipline, creating patrol rotations the guards would have never considered. At first, they resisted. It will not work, a guard said. You do not understand our city, Ethan replied calmly. Maybe not, but if you follow the plan, I promise you will see results. During the night, a small group of rebels attempted to sneak into the palace grounds. The patrol system Ethan had designed caught them immediately. The guards moved efficiently, encircling the intruders before anyone could reach the main halls. Afterward, the silver-eyed guard who had doubted him approached. You saved the palace, he admitted quietly. We were wrong to doubt you. Ethan nodded, still catching his breath. We work together. That's all. Princess Saylara appeared shortly after, her expression calm but her golden eyes glimmering. Your methods are unorthodox, she said, but effective. I am impressed. Ethan's chest swelled with pride. Thank you, Your Highness. But the credit goes to the guards, too. She smiled faintly. Perhaps. But a leader's vision is what guides the team. Remember that, Ethan. You may be human, but humans have something my soldiers lack. Flexibility. Courage is more than following orders. It is acting when others hesitate. Over the next few weeks, Ethan began to gain respect from the Royal Guard. Slowly, the whispers changed from mockery to cautious admiration. He listened more than he spoke, learned quickly, and used human intuition to solve small problems in the palace, from rerouting energy shields to improving communication signals during drills. Princess Saylara continued to watch him closely. She noticed the way he cared for the soldiers, how he learned their strengths and weaknesses, and how he adapted to their culture without losing his humanity. One evening, they walked together through the floating gardens. The soft pink light of the twin moons reflected on the water below. Ethan spoke quietly. I never thought I'd be in a palace like this, and I never thought I'd be leading aliens. I feel like I'm in a dream. Princess Saylara glanced at him. And yet you are awake. Courage does not always roar, Ethan. Sometimes it whispers. It is the decision to act despite fear. He smiled. I only hope I don't fail you. You will not, she said simply, because you do not fear the impossible. You act with honesty and heart. That is why I chose you. Ethan looked at her, remembering the first time he had blurted out those 3 words. You're beautiful. It seemed so reckless then. Now he understood. It had not only caught her attention but had set in motion a chain of events that would change the palace forever. By the end of part 2, Ethan had transformed from a nervous human assistant into a respected commander, learning not only to lead but to earn the trust of beings far more advanced in skill and discipline. He had discovered that human courage, honesty, and creativity could inspire even the most skeptical alien minds. But outside the palace, shadows were beginning to gather. There were whispers of conspiracies, rumors of nobles who resented the princess's growing trust in a human, and soon Ethan would face a test far greater than drills or minor attacks, a threat that would challenge not only his leadership, but the very life of Princess Saylara. For now, however, he stood in the courtyard watching the sunset reflect across the floating gardens. He allowed himself a quiet smile. The princess had chosen him. The guards were starting to respect him, and for the first time in a long while he felt capable. And deep inside, he wondered what would happen when the real danger arrived. The royal city of Vethra Prime was quiet under the light of twin moons. Floating bridges shimmered silver against the pink sky, and the palace towers glowed faintly in the night. But despite the beauty, Ethan Cole could feel tension in the air, a shadow moving quietly among the noble families. He had grown accustomed to the palace, to the alien guards, and to his role as human commander. Yet he sensed something different now. Small things, missing patrols, hushed conversations among nobles, and subtle signals from the city's outer gates all suggested that the peace of the palace was fragile. Ethan walked with Princess Saylara through the palace gardens. She seemed calm, her golden eyes reflecting the twin moons, but Ethan knew her carefully measured composure hid sharp awareness. Something is happening, Ethan said softly. I can feel it. The city feels different tonight, the princess nodded slowly. Yes, there are whispers of discontent among the nobility. Some believe my trust in humans is a threat to tradition. They resent my choices, Ethan frowned. Do you think they'd try to act on it? Saylara's expression was steady. Perhaps. The palace is well protected, but danger does not always announce itself. We must watch carefully. Ethan's hand instinctively rested on the hilt of his ceremonial blade. I'll help you. I've learned a lot since I arrived, and I won't let anyone harm you. The princess smiled faintly. I have seen your courage, Ethan. Humans act with emotion, yes, but sometimes that is their greatest strength. It is different from my people, who rely on discipline and ritual. You may save us precisely because you are unpredictable. They paused at the edge of a crystal pond. The reflections of the palace towers danced across the water, and the soft hum of energy fields created a peaceful rhythm. For a moment, the tension seemed to vanish, but that peace did not last. The next morning, Ethan began noticing strange patterns. Guards assigned to certain posts were missing at odd hours. Holographic records showed unusual communications from nobles who were supposed to be loyal. One night, a young soldier reported seeing shadows moving in a restricted corridor, figures that should not have been there. Ethan examined the patrol routes, cross-checked the schedules, and realized someone was planning something inside the palace. He approached the captain of the Royal Guard. "There's something happening," Ethan said quietly. "Someone is trying to move undetected. I've noticed missing patrols and strange signals. We need to investigate before it's too late." The captain raised an eyebrow. "You are concerned about palace security, human? I thought your experience was limited." Ethan met his gaze. "Experience or not, I notice what others overlook. Let me handle this. We cannot wait for trouble to arrive at the throne." The captain studied him, then finally nodded. "Very well. Be careful, and do not underestimate the cunning of those who seek power." That night, Ethan moved quietly through the palace corridors. He carried a small holomap and a few simple human tools, basic scanners and lights, but relied mostly on observation. The palace was silent, and the only sound was the soft hum of energy fields along the walls. As he approached the east wing, a faint glimmer caught his eye. Shadows moved differently than the normal guards. Someone had tampered with a service corridor, and it was clear that the intruders were skilled and organized. Ethan signaled to 2 loyal guards to follow. They moved silently, keeping low behind pillars and doorways. The intruders were off-world mercenaries, clearly hired to sneak into the palace and destabilize it. They were quiet, efficient, and deadly, yet they had not accounted for the unpredictability of a human mind. Ethan whispered to his guards, "We need proof, not confrontation. Observe, document, and stay hidden." They nodded. The team split silently, recording movements and noting the locations of hidden weapons. Ethan's mind raced. This was not a simple rebellion. It was a planned attack, coordinated by someone inside the palace. The following day, Ethan reported his findings to Princess Saylara in private. She listened quietly, her golden eyes intense. "You are sure?" she asked. "You did not misinterpret the signals?" "I'm sure, Your Highness," Ethan said firmly. "They are skilled and well organized. They have inside information about patrols and security. Someone in your court is helping them." Sayalara's face darkened. "The High Regent," she said softly, almost to herself. "He has always resented my decisions. He believes my trust in humans weakens the bloodline." Ethan frowned. "He's planning to act? Against you?" "Perhaps," she admitted. "But I cannot act without proof. And if I move too early, I risk revealing my knowledge. We must be careful." Ethan considered her words. The palace was magnificent, but beauty often hides danger. He thought of the guards he now commanded and of his own human instincts. "I'll gather evidence," he said, "and I'll make sure no one is harmed while we do." Over the next few days, Ethan and a few loyal guards worked in secret. They mapped every corridor, recorded all communications, and even disguised themselves to move unnoticed among the palace staff. The mercenaries continued their quiet sabotage, but Ethan stayed always one step ahead, using human intuition to notice what the veterans might overlook. During this time, Princess Saylara began spending more hours with him. She observed his methods, asked questions, and occasionally tested his reasoning. Ethan felt a new bond forming, one of trust and understanding that transcended the difference between human and veteran. "You act with courage," she said one evening, as they walked through the moonlit gardens. "But more importantly, you act with care. That is rare among humans," Ethan smiled. "We care for the people we fight for. That's why we act, even when the risk is high." Saylara looked at him quietly. "Perhaps I have underestimated the value of your kind. Discipline is not always enough. Sometimes courage guided by heart achieves what ritual cannot." Then came the moment of discovery. Ethan caught the High Regent himself in a private corridor, speaking with the mercenaries. The alien's voice was calm but firm, directing the group to bypass certain security systems and avoid the princess's observation drones. Ethan hid behind a pillar, recording the entire conversation with a small device. Every word confirmed the danger. The regent intended to seize control of the palace using off-world forces, and he believed that Princess Sayalara's reliance on humans was a weakness. He slipped away without being noticed, his heart racing. The evidence was enough. Now he had to convince the princess to act, carefully without alerting the regent. That night he presented the recordings to Selara in the privacy of her study. She listened quietly, her expression unreadable as Ethan played back the evidence. When it ended, she was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke. "You have done well, human," she said. "This proves what I suspected. But action must be precise. We cannot risk a premature confrontation. If the regent discovers we know, he may strike immediately." Ethan nodded. "Then we prepare. I can design patrols and traps that will protect you and expose him at the right moment." She studied him for a moment, then smiled faintly. "I am beginning to trust your instincts more than most of my own advisors. Perhaps this human is wise after all." Ethan's face flushed slightly, but he kept his focus. "I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe, princess." Selara placed a hand on his shoulder, a rare gesture of trust. "I believe you, Ethan. That is why I have chosen you." As the night deepened, Ethan walked alone through the palace corridors. He reflected on how far he had come, from a nervous assistant to a trusted commander, a human capable of guiding alien soldiers and protecting a royal princess. The journey had been frightening, exhilarating, and completely unexpected, yet he knew the real test was still ahead. The High Regent was clever, resourceful, and patient. The palace was beautiful, but beauty could not shield them from treachery. And when the regent struck, Ethan would have to rely not only on human courage but also on everything he had learned from the veterans he now commanded. He whispered to himself, "We'll be ready. Whatever comes, we'll face it together." The princess had chosen him, and he would not fail her. Not now, not ever. The morning sun rose over Vithara Prime, painting the sky with pink and gold hues. The royal palace gleamed in the soft light, but the peaceful glow masked the tension that had built quietly for weeks. Ethan Cole had sensed it. The shadows of conspiracy, the whispers of rebellion, and now the time for waiting was over. The alarm sounded suddenly. A shrill tone echoed through the palace corridors, vibrating against the crystal walls. Ethan's heart raced. He ran alongside the alien guards, his training and human instincts taking over. "Intruders," the captain shouted. "The East Wing is under attack." Ethan reached the main courtyard, where a small group of mercenaries, hired by the High Regent, were attempting to breach the palace gates. They were disciplined and armed with plasma weapons, but they had not accounted for a human commander who thought differently from any veteran. Ethan took a deep breath. "Guards, listen to me." His voice cut through the panic. "Follow my lead and we will protect the princess and the palace." The alien soldiers hesitated. A human giving orders in battle was unusual, almost unacceptable. But Ethan's calm, confident tone, combined with the strange energy of unpredictability, made them pause and consider. "We move in pairs," Ethan continued. "Take the corridors on the left and right. Watch the high windows. Do not chase blindly. Cover the exits." He moved quickly, directing soldiers with a mixture of gestures and concise commands. Humans may not match the veterans in raw combat skill, but Ethan understood improvisation, seeing opportunities others overlooked. The battle began. Energy blasts streaked across the courtyard, reflecting off polished walls. Guards shouted orders in the veteran tongue, and Ethan ducked behind a pillar, calculating his next move. One of the mercenaries attempted to breach the main gate, aiming directly for the throne hall where Princess Selara remained. Ethan acted instinctively. He grabbed a control panel and redirected the palace's energy barriers to block the intruder. The mercenary was thrown off balance, giving the guards a chance to surround him. The alien soldiers began to notice Ethan's skill. He did not rely on strength alone. He used the palace itself, walls, doors, energy channels, as a tool to turn the tide. A guard whispered to another, "He thinks like a veteran, but..." "Differently. Clever," Ethan pressed on. He split his group, sending half to secure the corridors leading to the throne hall, while he took a small team to flank the remaining mercenaries. They moved silently, carefully, using human unpredictability to confuse the enemy. Meanwhile, inside the throne hall, Princess Selara prepared for the worst. Her golden eyes were sharp, scanning every entry point. She did not panic. Years of training had taught her discipline, but even she felt a twinge of fear, something she rarely allowed herself to admit. A voice echoed from the doorway. "Ethan," she called. He appeared almost immediately, motioning for her to stay back. "Princess, stay here. I'll handle this." You always say that, she replied calmly, though her eyes betrayed concern. But you have done well so far. I trust you, Ethan nodded. Then we'll make sure the palace remains ours. He led a small team to a side corridor where 2 mercenaries had broken through. Using a combination of energy shields and quick movements, Ethan disarmed one of the attackers and forced the other into a corner. Human. You are unpredictable, one mercenary shouted. Ethan smiled faintly. That's the point. He used his strength and intuition to subdue the attackers without lethal force, a method unusual for veterans. The guards around him began to see the advantage of his approach. Courage guided by thinking, not just tradition. Back in the main courtyard, Ethan spotted the largest threat, the leader of the mercenaries moving directly toward the throne hall. The alien guards hesitated. Ethan knew hesitation could cost the princess her life. Follow me, he shouted. We intercept him now. They moved with him, blending the precision of veteran formation with the improvisation of human strategy. Ethan used narrow hallways, gravity shifts, and unexpected corners to channel the enemy, confusing and slowing him down. At the final moment, Ethan blocked the mercenary's path, using a combination of energy shields and martial skill. The veteran guards moved in from behind, surrounding the intruder. Ethan's heart pounded. He could feel the weight of responsibility, the pressure of protecting the princess and the palace. Yet he did not falter. Every move was deliberate, every decision guided by instinct, observation, and a willingness to act when others hesitated. The battle was over almost as quickly as it began. The mercenaries were captured, disarmed, and contained. The palace guards, once skeptical of a human commander, now looked at Ethan with respect and admiration. Princess Saylara emerged from the throne hall, her golden eyes bright. You have done what I did not expect, she said softly. You have protected this palace, this city, and me. Ethan shook his head, still breathing heavily. I only did what needed to be done. The guards followed because they had no choice, but I would have done it alone if I had to. The princess smiled, a rare, gentle expression that softened her usually composed face. Perhaps humans are more than I imagined. Courage guided by heart. You proved that today. Ethan felt a warmth inside him he had never experienced before. Recognition from the princess, and from the alien guards, was more than he could have hoped for. In the aftermath, the palace returned to calm. The captured mercenaries were interrogated and revealed the plot. The High Regent had planned to seize control of the palace using outside forces. Believing Princess Sayalara's trust in humans made her vulnerable. Ethan and the princess studied the recordings and testimonies together. She listened carefully, her expression calm but thoughtful. You have done more than command, she said. You have shown the palace, my people, that trust and courage can come from unexpected places. Humans are different, yes, but they can be valuable allies. Ethan smiled faintly. I'm glad I could help, Your Highness. I just did what I thought was right. You did more than that, she replied. You inspired loyalty where doubt once lived. That is a rare gift. The alien guards approached Ethan one by one, saluting him with respect. Even the silver-eyed captain who had doubted him in the beginning nodded quietly. You have earned your place, human, the captain said. We will follow you in battle and in loyalty. Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had arrived in this world as a simple human assistant. Now he stood as the commander of the princess's guard, trusted by her and respected by her people. Later, in the quiet of the evening, Princess Sayalara and Ethan walked through the palace gardens once more. The sky was dark, filled with stars, and the soft hum of energy fields created a calm rhythm. You were remarkable today, the princess said softly. You did what my soldiers could not, and yet without arrogance. That is rare among humans, and all the more admirable. Ethan shook his head. I only did what I had to do. I was lucky the guards trusted me enough to act. Saylara laughed quietly, a musical sound that echoed softly in the night. Perhaps you are right. Or perhaps luck is only part of it. Courage guided by heart. That is what made the difference. You have shown me something I have not seen in many cycles, that humanity is capable of greatness beyond expectation. Ethan smiled. Then I'm glad I could show you. She studied him for a moment, her expression softening. Ethan, your people act with honesty when others speak only fear. That is why I chose you. That is why I trust you with my life and the life of my palace. He looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. The trust she placed in him was more than he could have imagined, and he knew deep inside that he would not fail her. The palace, once a place of cold beauty and discipline, now felt alive with purpose. Ethan had changed the perception of humans within the Vetheran court, proving that courage, honesty, and quick thinking could inspire even the most disciplined alien minds. As they walked beneath the glowing arches of the gardens, Ethan whispered quietly to himself, "Whatever comes next, we will face it together." And for the first time, he felt truly ready. The palace of Vethara Prime slowly returned to its normal rhythm. Guards patrolled with renewed discipline, citizens walked the floating bridges without fear, and the twin moons reflected calmly in the crystal towers. Yet beneath the calm, a quiet change had taken place. Ethan Cole, once a nervous human assistant, now walked with confidence and purpose. He had faced intruders, thwarted conspiracies, and led alien soldiers into battle, all while maintaining the trust of Princess Saylara. The title of Commander of the Royal Guard no longer felt strange. It felt like home. The day began with a formal assembly in the throne hall. Princess Saylara stood at the center, her golden eyes sweeping across the gathered nobles and guards. The High Regent had been arrested and confined, his plans exposed thanks to Ethan's vigilance. The court had a new respect for the human who had proven that courage and intelligence were not limited to Vetharans. "Citizens of Vethara Prime," the princess began, her voice calm and commanding. "Our palace has faced a threat from within, but thanks to the vigilance, courage, and ingenuity of one human among us, the danger has been removed." All eyes turned to Ethan. He stepped forward, bowing respectfully. The guards behind him straightened in unison, their faces showing admiration. Princess Saylara continued, "Ethan Cole has shown that loyalty and courage are not limited to bloodlines or tradition. He has proven that humans, when guided by honesty and heart, can protect the throne and inspire greatness in others. From this day forward, he will remain as commander of my royal guard, a position of honor and trust." Whispers filled the hall. Nobles who had doubted him now looked on in awe. The alien soldiers, once skeptical, saluted him proudly. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride and humility. He had come so far from the nervous human who had blurted out 3 words, "You're beautiful," and now those words had sparked a chain of events that changed the palace forever. After the assembly, Ethan returned to the palace gardens. The air was cool, the light soft as the twin moons began to rise. Princess Saylara joined him, her golden eyes calm and bright. "You handled the assembly well," she said softly. "Your words and posture were impressive." Ethan shook his head. "I just did what you asked. Report honestly and represent the guards. That's all," she smiled faintly. "You have always done more than that. Courage guided by heart. It is rare among humans, yet you possess it in abundance. You have earned your place not just as a commander, but as someone I trust completely." Ethan felt a warmth he could not describe. He had worked hard to earn respect, but trust from a royal princess and a being so disciplined and proud was something else entirely. "Thank you, Your Highness," he said quietly. "I won't let you down." "You never have," she replied, "and I know you never will." Over the next few weeks, life in the palace shifted. The human presence was no longer an anomaly. Guards began to respect Ethan's strategies, blending human improvisation with Vetheran discipline. New training routines were established, combining the best of both worlds, the precision of alien soldiers with the flexibility and creativity of human thought. Citizens began to hear stories of the human who had saved the palace. Children would peek through the palace gates, hoping to catch a glimpse of the brave human commander. Ethan became a symbol not only of courage but of the potential for harmony between species. Even the alien nobles who had once mocked him began to approach cautiously. Some sought his advice, others simply nodded in respect when he passed. The palace had changed, and humans were no longer viewed as weak or reckless. One evening, after the palace had quieted, Princess Saylara invited Ethan to the throne hall. The room was bathed in soft moonlight, reflecting off the crystal pillars. She stood before him, calm and composed, yet there was a quiet intensity in her eyes. "Ethan," she began, "you have proven yourself in ways few could have imagined. You have protected this palace, its people, and me. And yet there is more than just duty here. You have earned something I do not offer lightly, trust beyond command. Ethan blinked. Your Highness, he began, unsure how to respond. She stepped closer, her expression thoughtful. You are different from anyone I have ever known. Brave, honest, and guided by your own heart. That is why I have chosen to allow you a position not only as commander, but as my advisor. In all matters, not just military. Ethan's heart raced. Advisor to the princess was unheard of for a human. It was an honor beyond any title he could have imagined. I will do my best, Your Highness, he said, his voice steady despite the excitement in his chest. You already have, she replied, and that is why I trust you fully. You have proven that humans are capable of greatness, not just in war but in loyalty, courage, and judgment. The following weeks were filled with careful planning and observation. Ethan learned not only about palace security but about diplomacy, trade, and governance. Princess Saylara trusted his perspective, asking for his opinion on matters ranging from patrol rotations to alliances with neighboring planets. His voice, once tentative and unsure, now carried weight. During one late evening, they walked together through the palace gardens. The air was calm, and the glow of the twin moons reflected on the water. Ethan, the princess said softly, do you ever wonder how a single moment, a single word, can change a life? He thought for a moment. I think about it often. If I had not said what I did, I would never have been here. But I'm glad I did. It changed everything for me and for this palace. She smiled faintly, the first real smile he had seen in weeks. And you have changed more than this palace. You have changed my perception of your people. I see now that courage and heart matter as much as tradition and discipline. That is something few beings ever learn. Ethan felt a quiet warmth. I'll do my best to live up to that, Your Highness. You already have, she said simply. Months passed, and peace returned fully to Vithara Prime. The High Regent remained confined, his power broken. The palace guard had grown stronger, more adaptable, and more united. And at the center of this change stood Ethan Cole, human commander and trusted advisor to the princess. Citizens whispered stories of the human who saved the palace, of the courage that came from honesty and heart. Alien children began to train with humans as mentors, learning flexibility alongside discipline. Even the veteran scholars wrote of the human who had proven that strength comes not only from tradition, but from creativity and courage. Ethan himself often walked the palace gardens, reflecting on how far he had come. He remembered the first moment he saw Princess Saylara, the nervous words that had slipped from his lips, and the unexpected smile that had changed everything. And he knew that he would never forget why he had been chosen. Not just because of bravery or skill, but because of honesty, courage, and the willingness to act when others hesitated. One evening, as the palace lights glimmered across the floating bridges, Princess Saylara approached Ethan quietly. She placed her hand on his shoulder, a rare and personal gesture of trust. Ethan, she said softly, you have done more than command. You have inspired me, my guards, and this palace. You have proven that humans are capable of greatness beyond expectation. I am proud to have you at my side. Ethan looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. Thank you, Your Highness. It is an honor to serve you, and I will never fail you. I know, she replied, her golden eyes calm and bright. That is why you will remain not only as commander, but as my closest human ally. Together we will face whatever comes, and I believe we will do so successfully. Ethan smiled quietly. For the first time, he felt a true sense of belonging. He was no longer just a human visitor in a distant palace. He was a trusted protector, advisor, and friend to a princess who valued courage and heart above all else. And deep down, he realized something else, that in this strange, distant world, he had found a place where honesty, bravery, and heart mattered more than species, tradition, or expectation. The palace of Vithara Prime glowed softly in the night, safe, secure, and alive with possibility. And at its center stood Ethan Cole, human commander and trusted friend to Princess Saylara, a living proof that even in a galaxy of alien discipline, the heart of a human could change everything.